Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. This is the 2024 GMC Hummer. This is the Edition 1 SUV, and I borrowed this model from my friends at Morgan Buick GMC here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Actually, I really more need to thank the new owner because it is pre-purchased. The owner happened to be at the dealership today, said he'd be happy for me to bring it down here and make a video to show it off to all of you. So let's take a look at exactly what you can expect to find here if you want to buy one of these or if you're just interested in learning about it. One thing for sure is it does retain the look of a Hummer. It looks very aggressive. It definitely is a large vehicle, but surprisingly when you get inside and drive it, it doesn't feel as large, at least not to me, out on the road as it looks like it would feel and seems like it would feel. Obviously, you're going to have the Hummer EV logo and LED lighting literally everywhere you look. And the thing about it here, unfortunately in the bright Louisiana sunshine today, has its advantages, it has its disadvantages, but you can't really see the LED lighting that is literally everywhere you look as well. But one thing that's interesting here is how Hummer has positioned the direction that the lights point. They're angled in such a way where it's kind of in a little bit of a downward angle, so you're not blinding the person in front of you or oncoming traffic. Obviously, you have the Hummer logo as part of the lights here on the front end. And then we'll have our lights down here, the headlights right down here. You're going to have some very strong tow hooks right here, massive tow hooks. Those things, if you could take those off, you could use them as a weapon if somebody tried to steal your Hummer, right? And as you would expect, you don't have a typical grille here, but I like the fact that you don't have a faux grille that just kind of looks almost like a big painted cheap piece of plastic as it does on some EVs, not all, but you will find air coming in right here to help keep everything nice and cool. There are 3 electric motors that help get this model down the road, off-road, wherever it may go. With its ride height and the different driving settings, driving modes, well, depending on your situation, you are likely to find everything you need. And one thing, well, I don't know how helpful it is, but we can take a look at some of the suspension and components here as far as what's going to help this model to do what it needs to do getting down the road. And the nice large, well, maybe I shouldn't say large, but the fender flares, they are in a gloss black with kind of a metallic finish of sorts. Kind of reminds me of metal flake. Some of you won't even know what that is. I just dated myself with age on that. That's a little bit of an older term. Now, one thing here is that we do have the power adjustable side view mirrors as you would expect. You're going to have a combination of the body color and the gloss black here. Obviously, there are cameras all over this model, and when we go inside here, much as is the case with other models of GMC vehicles, you can push this button right here and it's automatically going to fold those power adjustable side view mirrors in. You also have the body color door handles, passive entry not only here on the front doors, but also on the rear. So that means when you have the remote on your person, you can walk up, push those buttons to lock or unlock the doors. For you parents out there that are going to have child safety seats in this area, that's good because that's likely where you're going to come first. You can still unlock all 4 doors from the rear. Very helpful. Here is the remote. And honestly, I am a little surprised that the remote is not something that isn't just typical of other GMC vehicles out there. It's not that it looks bad or anything like that, but this Hummer EV is so unique, at least at the moment, because there's not a lot of them on the road. You would think that the remote would look different than it would on a lot of the other models, but not a bad thing. Lock, unlock, you do have remote start. You can push the button right here to open the rear door and the trunk, or front trunk, or front because it's often called. And one thing that is missing on this particular model, it's not here yet because it's dealer installed, but that's going to be the tire cover. And you'll also see the LED taillights, a really aggressive overall look. And obviously those lights up there on the top, I don't know how well the camera is picking that up. They are turned on. You can see also the shark fin antenna. You can also see that I missed a piece of plastic up there when I unwrapped this thing, because I did do that. And obviously, if you're wondering, well, where is the charge port? Well, that's pretty easy to figure out. Here it is. You do have a couple of different options as to what type of charge you can use or charger you can use. And I'll give you all the numbers on all of that shortly as to what you can expect for driving distance and all that information. How about tire and wheel size? Well, 305 on the width. You talk about a lot of tread on the road. A 55 series sidewall wrapped around the 22-inch wheels. And let me walk around over here to this side where there's better lighting so you can get a little bit better look at the overall design and the way everything is laid out and the way everything looks as far as the wheels go. And this is not a wrap. This is moonshot green matte. It looks like a wrap, but it is actually paint. That will be accented by the gloss black here with the roof. It makes the windows look like they're tinted darker than they really are. If that wasn't up there, then obviously I don't think it would look quite the same as that does. That gloss black is going to work its way from the roof down here to these taillight housings. We looked at that earlier. And the interior is called Lunar Shadow. A very nice look. You can see everything that's here. We'll take a closer look at the interior in just a little bit. But for those who are wondering about the interior and exterior colors, there you go. And how about things on the practical end? Well, let's open the front trunk or the frunk. Let's see if I can get that to work. Come on. There we go. And you'll see the lights. Those are the lights that are indicating that something's about to happen, which obviously that's opening this area. And there is a lot of space in here. I tell you what, the kids could almost get in here and take a nap. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but they could. You can see the EV logo, the Hummer EV logo right there. And a nice bright light to help light things up after dark. If somebody did get trapped in here, no big deal, because they can push the button right there to get out. You can see the outlet, power outlet right there, the 12-volt power outlet. And there are some tie downs here as well. So if you have something up here that you want to stay in place, that's not a big deal. You have the two tie downs in the front and two more up there in the, really against the firewall area, I would say, of the vehicle. And one thing that I did notice here, unless I'm doing something wrong, is when you go to close this, you do have to push the button twice and hold the button down on the second push, because you'll notice right there, I let go of the button and it didn't close all the way. So we'll do that one more time, let it open. And now we will close it, and I will keep my finger on it this time the whole time. Just one of those little things I noticed that I thought was interesting as far as how things work. And if you want to tow with your Hummer EV SUV, you can tow up to 8,500 pounds. Obviously, the rear door is powered just like the front trunk. 35.9 to 91.3 cubic feet of cargo capacity, a reasonable amount. And obviously, you're going to have quite a few goodies back here. Your charging cable and all that good stuff. Everything is here that you need. And you can see a rather unique look as far as, instead of really having a panoramic sunroof, and because I know a lot of you like to see everything maximized as far as cargo capacity goes, well, here is your chance to see that. And you can see that, well, I hope you can see it on the screen well enough. There is the angle. Sometimes people ask about this, so I like to show it, but you can see the angle of the seats. They're not completely flat when you fold them down like this, but flat enough to where I don't think it's going to hurt anything at all. And a quick look out through the panels right here. A very nice, unique look, that's for sure. Those are removable, by the way. And by the way, before anybody leaves a corrective comment down in the comment section, and if you already did, I know you didn't see this part of the video. Shame on you for not watching the whole video. I know this is called an E-trunk. And if you're curious to know exactly how much space do you have here, 12 cubic feet. And one other thing that I think is very interesting here, even though we already looked at it, but one thing you rarely see with any kind of an EV is a spare tire. That is nice to know. That's one less thing you have to worry about in this particular case. And how about the horsepower and torque numbers? 830 horsepower, 1,100 pounds-feet of torque, roughly. 0 to 60 for a very large and heavy vehicle, an impressive 3.5 seconds. Wish I could test that today. That's in the WTF mode. I think you know what that means. Watch to freedom, right, or welcome to Facebook. It means, well, a couple of different things. And GMC says you should be able to get up to 300 miles on a single charge. Now, I know a lot of people are going to frown at that. So I want you to think about something. When you're out on a road trip, how far do you typically drive between fill-ups? Most people, I don't think, go that far. But it's just one of those things. If you plan ahead, it's not a big deal. So, you know, for those who are buying one of these, especially driving around town, I think you're going to be just fine with that particular range. I don't have any way to test it, so I can't tell you for sure if you can get more or get less or what the situation is. Those are the numbers GMC put out. And by the way, I did tell you that these glass panels are removable, all 4 of them, and this model does come with bags to put those in. You can store those in the e-trunk up there. That's what it's specifically made for. And how about fuel economy? I don't know if that's the perfect terminology, but 59 miles per gallon city, 48 highway, and 53 combined. And 63 kilowatt hours per 100 miles driven. And while we took a look at the door panel here on the driver's side earlier to a large degree, you might not have noticed that you had seat memory here. For a vehicle that has a sticker price of $104,000, yes, there's the price for those of you who stuck around in the video to this point. Thank you. I think at that price point, you should also have seat memory for the passenger side over there. And here's a quick look across the dashboard. Obviously, you're going to have your glove box right here. Plenty of space there. And there is a pass-through down here. The lawn crew has followed me around today again, so that's one reason why I'm showing you everything from inside the vehicle right now. Just trying to make it a more enjoyable experience instead of hearing lawnmowers running in the background. But you can see the design from the exterior making its way into the interior when you consider the look of the taillight housings that, well, the air conditioning vents look very similar to that. Here are your steering wheel mounted controls, everything you would expect to see there. Yes, this model does have Super Cruise. Right here, semi-autonomous driving, very simple to use actually. And so the thing I really like here is the look of the instrument cluster. You can go in and make changes to that if you want to. I'm just arrowing my way through, and we'll go one more time over here. You can see what is here as far as that goes. You can turn on and off different features, different functionality. There's a lot going on here. As far as the information goes, the display, let's see, if we wanted to change the left side display and we wanted to change it to something else, well, here's how easy that is to do. If you need to know about tire pressure, and all I'm doing, let me show you what I'm actually doing here. So I'm going to arrow down one more time. We'll make our selection. I'll push right there, and I'm really not arrowing down. I'm just toggling with the switch right here. But you can see what is there. So pretty simple to figure out. You have your pitch and roll, G-force. That would be kind of fun to test that today, but unfortunately we're not going to get to do that. But just one of those things, but I did want to show you some of the display layout is here as far as what you can change. It's a really simple vehicle to learn, believe it or not. It looks like there's a lot of technology here, but there isn't so much here that it's overly difficult to use. GMC pretty good about that. And at $104,000, you would expect this Hummer EV to come with this, the turn signal lever. You can let people around you know what your intentions are before you change lanes or turn or whatever you're doing. That's pretty unique. And you can control the lighting from the exterior of the vehicle from right here. That's pretty easy to do. Can't really say anything sarcastic about running the front wipers, but one thing I can do is show you that you actually have 3 wipers. That's a little bit unusual. Kind of a cool little thing to know about. Something that you definitely do not normally see. You also have the rear view camera mirror. In case you were curious about that, I'll show you what's up here on the upper console, because I know a lot of the time you like to know about what's here and maybe about what isn't here, depending on your expectations. And then obviously you're going to have the button right here to start and stop power on the vehicle. Pretty simple to figure that one out. But the screen right here, again, It may look complicated, but I promise you it's not. You have Google Assistant here, which I'm not going to demonstrate because I'd have to say, hey, you know who, and I might set devices off in your house. It has happened. But you do have quite a bit going on here. We can go to cameras and take a look at our different camera views. There's the front view and the overhead view. There is the rear view right there. And then we'll go over here and take a look at the views overhead as well, but you're taking a closer look at the front and the rear. And remember I showed you those cameras built into the side view mirrors? Well, there they are. Basically the same thing that you would find on any other GMC vehicle, such as the Silverados. Boy, am I getting confused there. The Sierras. Sorry about that, GMC. The Sierras will have a very similar look to this and layout, but there are a few things that are not here necessarily, as you can see. So can't really demonstrate it so much, but I can show you what is here as far as the different features and the different functionality goes. If you're off-roading, here is your off-road view. And when you want to go out of that, obviously you just hit the X right there. Quite a bit here that makes this a really unique experience as far as driving goes. I'm not going to show you every single little thing that's here, but in case you were curious, well, now you know. And one thing earlier, you noticed that the rear climate didn't come on. Well, you can turn it on right here if you want to. Pretty simple, easy to figure out, easy to use. Everything here, built-in maps. I don't think everything's activated where I can really show you that. It's not, we're not going to activate that. Obviously, you can connect your phone wirelessly. And trailering. Did talk about how you can tow up to 8,500 pounds if you would like to do that. A very similar system to what we have in the GMC Sierras. I'm not going to mess up twice, I promise, but you can still go back and laugh when you remember that goof up from earlier. But you can see what's here. Same basic layout, but a bit of a different look too. I like that. I think that's a good thing. You can go into your settings right here. I could do a whole entire video on this information all by itself. So all of the same features are here. In fact, if you want to go into vehicle, you can see what you have here. Rear seat reminder, buckle to drive, you can turn that on or off. Super Cruise lane change, you can go into that if you want to. Turn signal activated. For those of you who don't have the turn signal option on your vehicle, well, I guess you just can't use that. Oh, you don't use it. Never mind, I thought that was what it was. I just didn't have it. Okay, yes, I'm being sarcastic, and it's perfectly okay. There's a lot here. We're not going to show you every single little bit, but like I said, it's easy to use. The good thing about it is that you can come in here and really use what I call the hunt and peck method. So if you need easy exit to get out of the vehicle, well, there is how you do it. As far as your ride height goes, I'll tell you what, there is a lot here. Now, let's go down here and take a look at the air conditioning controls. And the good thing here, unlike in a lot of EVs, you still have physical buttons. So the cool thing here is that, well, depending on what you want to use, if you want to use heated seats or ventilated seats, well, you can come in here and use that accordingly. That's pretty simple to figure out. If you're going to change the fan speed, you can actually see that the fan down there actually rotates. I don't want to turn that up too high for too long, just so that I don't blow everybody away with the sound of the fan running. But you can see what all is there, and some more one-touch buttons right here. You can use your heated steering wheel. We may actually need that in the near future here in Northwest Louisiana. Kind of strange to say that. And there is your wireless charging pad. A couple more USB options. And basically the same shifter as you'll see in a lot of the GMC Sierras now. So there's how you're going to use that. It's a simple shifter to use. I think it does fit here really well. And obviously the cup holders are right there. You can conceal those cup holders away just like you can conceal away the USB ports and the wireless charging pad, and then your drive mode selector. And that is something that I think is pretty cool. When we look at the drive modes, here's what's going to happen. Some very neat animated graphics. I think that's pretty cool. Kind of hard to see, I think. Maybe not. I hope you can see that well. Trying to give you the best view I can based on available lighting, but you can see the somewhat likeness of your Hummer EV SUV on the screen. Maybe not the same color as yours, but that's just the way it is. And depending on the mode you go into will determine what you see on the screen. pretty impressive, I must say. It kind of explodes its way onto the screen almost with the way that looks. I think it's pretty neat. And what about storage? Well, you have a little bit of storage on top of the center console. It's sitting up pretty high, so it's very easy to use as an armrest. And let's look inside. I tell you what, you have space for days. Not only the large removable tray, but a very deep and wide center console. Looks like we have a 12-volt power outlet right there, which we do. You can obviously leave the removable tray in or out, depending on what you want to do. Let's put that in correctly. There we go. A lot going on here, that's for sure. I'll tell you what, a very interesting vehicle, to say the very least. Is it worth every penny? Well, you're going to have to tell me what you think about that. And one more thing I wanted to show you. Rear wheel steering. As I turn the front wheels, you can see that the rear wheels are turning at the same time. So something that actually you saw for many, many years on monster trucks, especially others out there as well, other vehicles that had this feature. And it's not that terribly unusual in this day and age, but it is something that is here, something you would pay for. It's part of that $104,000 price tag, so I thought I would show you. Okay. So, being that this model is pre-sold, the owner was nice enough to give me the opportunity to drive it down here to where I shot this video, but we're not going to get to do a full test drive, so I figured what I would do is do the best job I can of giving you a little bit of an idea of what it's like to drive this model. Obviously, with the very clear and large screen, the clear view with the cameras, it's very easy to get around. And while the GMC Yukons are larger, and they feel larger, because they are, you still have an easy time maneuvering this model around as large as it is. It's really more the width that makes it seem so big than anything else. And you're up somewhat high off the ground, but you can make a lot of changes and a lot of adjustments to the height of the vehicle and everything going on here. So it's very easy to really set things up the way you want them to be. But depending on your situation, obviously you have driving modes. We're going to use this car in front of us to help run interference in case somebody's coming around the corner here, and thankfully they weren't. But I tell you what, it's fun to drive. It's easy to get around. I didn't have any trouble adjusting to it at all. So that's our test drive, basically. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do much. We just drove down the street to the dealership. Just one of those things. But tell me down in the comments section, is the 2024 Hummer EV SUV Edition 1 worth every penny? You know how much the sticker price is on this particular model, so tell me what you think down in the comments section. I do want to say a special thanks not only to my good friend Wesley here at the dealership for setting this deal up for me, but also to the owner for being kind enough to sign off on it. Basically, I got to meet him in person, which was a pleasure. And he said, yeah, just don't drive it, real far, do a bunch of driving with it. So we have to honor that request, but I do want to say a special thanks to him for the opportunity, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.